your identification.
What did you say? I'll tighten those restraints. Scavenger scum.
We don't need to see his identification.
I will remove these restraints and leave the cell with the door open.
My lord.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sidebar Cantina, the podcast where we talk about Star Wars, pop culture, World War III, or whatever the fuck we feel like talking about. I'm Mr. Jason Roscom. With me here each and every single week, the Darth Vader to my Palpatine, Dave Martin. Hello, Dave.
Hello, Jason.
How are you?
I am fine. Have you seen that Bill Burr skit? But I guess it's part of a stand-up that he's doing, where he talks about how men can either be angry or they can be fine. There's no in between.
Right.
And if you keep asking me how I am, and I'm like, I'm fine. Why are you fucking bothering me? Why do you keep asking me? I'm fine.
Yeah.
Right. Then you go from fine to angry. So then that's where you go bounce in between. But that's how you have to be. But internally, you have all the rest of the range of emotions, but you can't bring them out. Otherwise, that's called gay.
That's true.
Yeah, Bill Burr's the fucking best. I love his shit.
Oh yeah, he's hilarious. So anyway, what are we talking about today?
I think we're talking about Tales of the Underworld.
Yes.
I had to look because I keep calling it Tales of the Jedi, but it's not Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah.
It's Tales of the Underworld.
Right.
That came out.
It was during Andor. That's. It was
a minute ago.
It was May 4th.
May 4th.
No. We'll do it live.
That's not the right button.
Do it live.
Not the right one. How about
May
this one?
The
There it is.
May the 4th.
May the 4th.
So yeah, it came out while Andor was going on. We were too engulfed in Andor to talk about it, and finally we have a break. We did Andor, we did Rogue One, so now it's time to clean up the stuff that we missed, and that is Tales of the Underworld.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
It is. That was the last minute change. We are definitely going to talk about the what we teased a little bit last week with the ancient structures. We are definitely going to do that, but not this week.
Yeah, no, because I realized after we had parted last week, like, fuck, we actually have an important Star Wars thing we got to do still. So I figured before we start jumping into other topics, we should probably finish the Tales of the Underworld.
I'm 100% behind it.
So, anywho, that's what we're talking about today. But before then, we've got some business to take care of. So should we start with Patreon?
You should start with Patreon, and I'm going to start looking at my phone for the notes.
Alrighty. Well, if you're enjoying the Sidebar Cantina's content, consider becoming one of our Patreon supporters. For as little as $1 a month, you can support this podcast and make it possible for us to continue to bring you quality content week after week. Quality being subjective. We'd like to give a huge shout out to all of our current patrons: Frank Kalevich, Catherine Rennick.
Ironically, there is a Catherine Martin.
Yes.
That is my sister.
Yeah.
But not a Patreon supporter.
No. That's weird. Okay. Catherine Rennick, Dragon Buddy, Lord Helmet Fire, Nick from Sweet Studios, my wonderful mother-in-law, Patricia Goodstein, Don Solsky, Wally Frogmore, Chantal from Pop My Culture, Helen Martin, Sterling Azier, Nicholas Schaefer, Kristen Roscom, Carly Vickers, Ivo G, Shotgun Mark, Frederick Martin, David Schmuck, Scott and Kim from the Use and Abuse podcast, and the Orange and Fett Show. If you'd like to consider becoming a supporter, you can find us at patreon.com/thesidebarcantina. Thank you again to all of our listeners and supporters. You are the reason why we do this. Did it again.
My fucking weird ass snap. Punk.
I don't know, man. Very strange.
It's whatever flat. Like yours is like a mine's the base version of it.
So anyway, we got any Sidebar headlines?
It says no news is good news, so we're going to go with that.
Alrighty.
That's I wish there was no news. That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, here's some Star Wars news for you.
Yay!
Couple things have happened. First of all, they being, I believe it was Kathleen Kennedy who actually said that Starfighter is going into production and possibly filming this fall, starting in September, which they've really fast tracked this one for some reason.
Maybe because they realized they didn't have shit else.
Yeah.
Like, all right, fuck, we got to get some content out there.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're fast tracking Starfighter, and it looks like it's going to be this thing that I'm reading here from Star Wars News Net says that filming is going to start in September, which means they've got to have a script pretty much done at this point, and they've got to start pre-production here pretty soon within the next couple of months.
Have they announced that there going to be any like novelization or like novels leading into this yet?
Not that I've heard, but I'm sure there's going to be.
There's got to be.
They always do. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. And the other interesting thing that I saw was that Andor, the ratings for Andor came out recently, and they were good across the board. They had week-to-week climbs every single week, and the fourth week, the last 3 episodes, they were actually number 1 in the Nielsen ratings for streaming shows.
It was a good fucking show, man.
Yeah.
That's exactly where this should have been. I actually got goosebumps a little bit.
And
they're never going to get that. Never say never, right? But can you think that Star Wars can, hit that note again?
That's tough. That's really tough.
I just can't see them putting out something that good with that tone, right? Like Mandalorian, when it came out, was a sensation because of it had this appeal towards non-Star Wars people, right?
Right. Everybody loved Baby Yoda.
Right. You had cute factor that came in there. It was, you had that Western feel, so it was really low threat, and you could get into it, and so could people that weren't so heavily into Star Wars. So it brought a new part of the fan base in. But with Andor, it went into that darker place where if they tried to hit that again with anything, right, it would have to be a very specific thing. Like, I think you could do it with Bane.
Yeah.
Because the entirety of Bane, there's no part of Bane's existence that's like, okay, here's the levity. Right, here's where the plucky droids come in and fucking no. That's not how the Bane train rolls. I didn't do that on purpose. It just kind of came out.
Yeah, no, it starts with him being slave labor, essentially.
Right.
Murdering his father with the Force.
Right.
Crushing his heart.
Well, it doesn't start with that part, but yes.
Pretty close to the beginning.
Yeah. God, when's the last time we did Bane?
The one time that we did it years ago.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Wonder if they have an audiobook of it.
Yes, they do.
Oh. Is it any good?
Yeah.
Huh.
I listened to it recently, like in the past 6 months.
Oh,
maybe?
no shit.
Yeah. I got all 3 of them.
Okay.
On audio.
I've got like fucking 15 Audible credits, so I should start using those.
You could send them to me, or you could do whatever. Like I am one of those, like I am like paycheck to paycheck. I'm Audible credit to Audible credit. I just, all right, let's sidebar for a second.
All right.
We're talking about books. Kathy and I were talking about books this weekend. And I have a proclivity for like the physical book, right? I want to have the physical book in my hand. Like it's easier to read. Like I have iPads and I have a Kindle and that whole thing, but if I want to read something, I really want to read it. I want to see it on the printed page.
Yeah.
And which means that like having physical copies of stuff. I mean, you have to have places to put it. I mean, obviously we have, the Sacred Jedi texts, and it becomes problematic. So you have to kind of be selective, unless you have a giant house with a fucking library or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But with audiobooks, as somebody who didn't like originally subscribe to the whole audiobook concept,
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of, it's almost now so much a part of my reading experience, because I'm reading, air quote, a book while I'm reading a book.
Right.
So but they're two completely different books. So like I'll be listening to, I just finished this book called Command and Control. It's about nuclear weapons.
Mm-hmm.
It's focused around the Titan II missile that blew up in Arkansas.
I don't remember hearing about that.
This was in the late 70s, early 80s. Anyway, so it doesn't just talk about that. It also talks about the entire like kind of what the history of SAC and all kinds of other elements. So it's actually pretty good.
A SAC history lesson is the thing I don't need to hear right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
I got enough of those during my time in.
Yeah, exactly. But it was on, it's on a reading list somewhere. I read that book and I read another one, which, again, I was listening to that book. I read 1 second after. It's another book about what happens after an EMP, and it's on a reading list because of its level of realism,
right?
To what it would be like, and then the aftermath of what.
So this is a fictional book.
It is a novel.
Okay.
But it's
grounded in reality. The EMP science,
and would give the science is simple, but the what happens to society, like in a modern state.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a circa 1970s book. This is like a more modern book.
Yeah.
And it's awful. It's awful. I don't recommend it. It's well written. Don't get me wrong. It's really well written. And apparently there's a couple other books that are like kind of follow-ons, but they're not as good. Allegedly. I'm telling you though, it's not pleasant, and the dog dies in the end. So,
yeah.
So it's just not good. But anyway, I was reading that physical copy, and I was listening to the Command and Control book, and then I have, actually, what am I reading right now? We're doing it live. Yeah, I started this guy.
The British Are Coming by Rick Atkinson.
So this is the base historian actually told me to read this because it has, he said it's one of the most complete tellings of the different skirmishes.
Really?
To include a lot of the ones that are here in New Jersey. Huh. It's a 3-part book, or it's a 3-volume book. So this one goes from Lexington to Princeton. And then the next volume goes from Princeton on. And it gives, details about the things. So this is going to run right through my neighborhood. If not this book, the next one.
Right.
And I'm into that.
Oh, so sure. Yeah.
Now for the audiobook, I'll want to listen to something with a little bit more like entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Bobaverse or something like that, or unless something new comes along that will pique my interest.
Yeah.
But I can listen to that, and it's still a book, right?
Yeah.
Now the question is it wrong to, having listened to said book, want to have the physical copy of said book, even though you've read it, technically.
Read it, meaning listen to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it wrong to want to then spend the money on the physical copy of it so that you have the physical copy?
Not necessarily. I mean, especially if it's a book you really enjoyed.
That's all you need to hear.
was Kathy of the opposite opinion?
Well, no, I think she just has a tough time with the audiobooks.
Oh.
Right? Especially now because she doesn't have a commute. Like, I have a commute, so it lends itself to being good. And we've talked about it before. Like, I listen to the radio going into work because I just need that for the energy, and driving home I'll listen to an audiobook.
Yeah.
Where I used to listen to podcasts, you know, in a lot of that space.
Mm.
And I think podcasts take more effort to listen to.
I could see that.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm not just listening to listen. I'm trying to engage with it.
Right.
Not in the same way that we're, you know, engaging with these guys. Helmet fire just glitched out. By Menon. Yeah. What was I saying? Fuck.
Yeah, podcasts are hard to listen to.
Yes. Well, it's not that it's hard. It's you have to put out some effort.
Yes.
And after work, I don't necessarily want to have to think that hard.
Mm.
Which is tough because I'll read these books that Neil deGrasse Tyson has written, or you know, one of these physicists, and I'm like barely hanging on with the math discussions. But I don't really. It's not the same thing. But if I'm listening to a podcast, like if I was listening to like the Escape Pod, I want to engage with what they're talking about. And
right.
I just don't. I feel like I'm doing a disservice by not doing that.
Okay.
So, and I'd rather if I can put a book on, then I'm just listening to the book and I'm being entertained.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just a weird place to be, like especially at this age. I'm getting that I'm old and set in my ways thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is how I do it. If anyone else doesn't like it, fuck them.
There you go.
Like, does it hurt them for me to be the way I am? No, then fuck them. I don't give a shit. Like, it's just it could be good, it could be bad. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Andor is doing really well.
Yes,
it did really well in the Nielsen ratings.
Andor, and hopefully, when we get to the Starfighter, that there'll be a lead-in novel.
Yeah,
that we can kind of wet our whistle to, and figure out what that story's going to be about.
Yeah. Do you think it's ever worth it to go back to like some of the lead-in novels to other things that we never covered? Like I know there's one for Rogue One, which God, I wonder how much that conflicts with Andor now. But you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what the name of that book is.
I had it on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember.
Andor book.
But yeah, I wonder if it's worth going back to some of those that we didn't catch before.
I mean, I've read a lot of the novels that you hadn't yet.
Yeah.
Just by nature of, you know, where we were in time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a couple months before I start getting kicked in the face with grad school again. So
oh yeah,
we're gonna do novels. It'd be the time.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just something that came into my head, and I was thinking about that recently because I'm not sure who that novel follows, if it's Jin or Cassian or both, but I could see there being some continuity errors if
Sure.
Cassian's in that.
That's Alphabet Squadron.
Yeah, I never read that.
Yeah, that's Alphabet Squadron's one of those where it had potential, and I think it intrigued me. Like it started out in a weird spot, and then it started to get really good, and then it kind of like tapered off on me
Mm-hmm.
to the point where I was just like, by the end of it.
Yeah.
So say that for what it is. I'm sure Bronco Fett's in the chat right now going like, you should have read this. Rebel Rising.
Yes.
I definitely read that. It's Jin, and it's Jin from her childhood through her incarceration by the Empire.
Okay.
So it's really doesn't, because it's Jin, it doesn't interfere with it at all.
I wonder if that'd be worth going back to, just because
Sure.
we're still in that whole Andor, Rogue One sort of time frame.
Yeah.
All right. Something to think about. I'll put
Somebody
it on the radar.
Yeah, somebody write that down.
Yeah.
Used to have a pencil.
Yeah. Oh, it's over there.
Oh, yeah. See, there it is. Pencil. There it is. Have you seen the baseball bats that look like pencils?
No.
So, company's called Victus, I think. Victus.
Mm.
Victus. I'm pretty sure it's Victus. Anyway, they made a pencil like wood baseball bat,
Mm-hmm.
and then now that they have the metal and the composite bats too, so it looks like a number 2 pencil. You stand there, and it's so weird. Like I watched the strangeness that is Dave, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or however eclectic I might be. I watch these guys that are baseball bros on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this guy, and he just tests baseball bats. Like it'll be a baseball bat. It's like, okay, here's this U-Trip, drop 8 baseball bat, and we're gonna put some swings on it, and give a review of it, and and he'll do it. And it's not like the longest things ever, and I just like watch somebody hit baseballs. I mean, I guess it's my equivalent of watching somebody carve soap.
I don't know how somebody could do either, but hey, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, it is. It's. I understand that it's a strange thing to enjoy watching.
Mm-hmm.
Like intellectually, I understand that, especially because I'm not going to buy one of these bats.
Mm-hmm.
And aside from my nephew, I don't know anybody who uses them.
Yeah.
So I guess I could use my nephew as an excuse because he's in that age group where he's playing high school baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So at least he's in a bracket where he'd be using some of these bats, and I can actually speak knowledgeably to it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just like watching people hit baseballs.
Yeah. Well,
Nothing
wrong with that.
The most used game on my iPhone right now
Mm-hmm.
is a baseball game.
Really?
Where I mostly stand there and just hit baseballs. MLB CHB. If you're playing that game, by the way, find me, Philly Dave 75, because you get points, and then I get points, and somebody gets a Ferrari.
All right. So, anywho, we ready to get into our weeks?
Yes.
All right. Mine is going to be quick and painless. I don't really have much except for my middle son, Adam, is graduating high school this week.
It's this week?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going out to Temple, apparently.
Fucking bonkers.
For the graduation. But
it's in Temple?
that's what I thought I read in the
Wow.
in the newslet.
That's neat.
Yeah. But yeah, that's 2 kids now graduating, and then next year my third son, Ben, will be graduating. So yeah, getting old.
You're almost there.
Not that they're ever going to leave the house,
No,
but they're all going to be out of high school.
yeah. I mean, you won't be empty nesting per se, but
Yeah.
at least if you needed to, like, escort them, like, hey, you could do better outside of the house
Yes.
and go and what's the word that when you get better at things? I don't know.
Improve.
Frolic, not frolic. I think it begins with an F. Fuck my brain. Go
Flourish.
Flourish.
There you go.
Fucking hell. Good job, Jason.
I have my moments.
Yeah.
But-
Bronco Fett came up with another prequel. The prequel to Rogue One was Catalyst, a Rogue One novel.
Right.
So
Yeah,
there's-
it had 2 novels.
Yeah. Catalyst, I think, is going to be more relevant to the Andor conversation.
Uh-huh.
Rebel Rising is definitely like Jin.
And was Rebel Rising the one that was like a young adult novel?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it was just a regular novel.
No, it's fairly. I mean, it's over here somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't want to go over there and start digging through it because I got to pee. So I'm going to be able to. I'm going to sit here right now until we're ready to go into the main topic, and then.
All right. Well, anyway, let's keep our weeks going because that's all I had. So what do you got? And I also do not see the airline incident in your notes. So I know we were going to talk about that.
I forgot to put it. Hang on. I'm going to put it for after this one. Ready? There's Air India. There you go.
All right.
It's in the notes.
Excellent.
We have things that have to be a place for everything and everything in its place. Went to the Phillies game yesterday for Father's Day. Not for Father's Day because we have
you have your Sunday tickets.
Yeah, we have our ticket package, and so we went, and it's kind of crappy. Weather wasn't great. you know.
Weather's been shit.
Yeah, it's doing that Jersey thing where the weekends the weather's crappy.
Yeah.
But it'll get better. I mean, it's early June.
Yeah. Mid-June, 16th.
Shh, quiet. Shh. Settle. Yeah, it was warm enough where I just had a light jacket on. I still wore shorts.
Mm.
Did I wear shorts? Yes, I was wearing shorts. Yes.
It's not that important.
It isn't. You're right. It absolutely is not that important. However, it'll be banging around in my brain. Hopefully Kathy's listening. She can put in something in the chat maybe that, yes, Dave, you were wearing shorts, dummy. Anyway, so while we're there, the Phillies actually won. They blew it open. It was great. We got 2 home runs we were there for.
Nice.
Alec Boehm hit one, like a no doubt one, and then Nick Castellanos hit a grand slam.
Sweet.
So, I turned to Kathy and I was like, "You've been in this stadium now for 2 grand slams," and she was like, she didn't remember the other.
Oh,
one.
the other time.
And I'm like, and this has come up before with this grand slam because in Phillies, like when they're showing highlight stuff, right? If you go back and you look at the, I don't know, I think it was the NLDS 3 years ago, and you want to put Bryson Stott, grand slam.
Mm-hmm.
And then you watch that, it's like probably a, 45-second clip. And they have it where it's just the audio is isolated. There's no announcers.
Mm-hmm.
And Bryson Stott's lead-up song, walk-up song is playing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 48,000 singing it all at the same time.
Nice.
And then they're finishing singing it as he hits this fucking grand slam. And a place goes, I've got goosebumps. The place goes absolutely fucking bananas.
Nice.
And we were there. We're fucking in the stands. People, high fives everywhere, and it's like she was there for that.
Yeah.
It landed right over there, like where that house is. Right there. It was right there.
Yeah. Doesn't remember.
No. Like like that was one of those things, and I'm not saying she's not a fan,
Right.
but there's differences. You can be like there's layers to being a fan. It's on a spectrum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I can see that.
I don't want to not to belittle some other, other things that are on spectrums, but I think fandom is definitely one of those things where it's like I have these core memories of being at baseball games with my dad when I was young, watching him miss a foul ball when we had box seats, and on the third baseline, and he just misses a foul ball because he's wearing a catcher's mitt. Like, who brings a catcher's mitt? Who does that? Anyway, I'll never forget that ever. That entire moment. There's just moments in time, like especially with baseball, because I've been to so many baseball games that I'll remember. The Reese Hoskins, there was this moment where he was stinking. He was stinking up the place for the playoffs, and I was at the game where he hits this home run, and he just needed to get something to get going.
Yeah.
And this is the year they went to the series, the most recent one. And he fucking hits this home run and he spikes the bat. And dude, you want to talk about the fucking place just dude, it was fucking amazing. And then Bryce Harper hits a home run right after that. And the stadium shaking. like because in that I've taken you up to where my seats are, right?
Yeah.
So in those seats is where we saw the Reese Hoskins Harper home runs, and that part of the stadium was just like earthquake shaking, dude. It was unfucking believable, unbelievable. Core memories. That Grand Slam is definitely one of them.
Yeah,
and I have the benefit too. Like these days, I can go on YouTube and I can watch it a fucking 1,000 times if I want to, and reinforce it. So when I'm in the Alzheimer's home, I can,
still pull that up. I was there.
Hey, can I see that? Can I see the Bryson Stott home run? Hey, okay. I don't know why my voice would get higher as I get older, but anyway, so Kathy was there. Grand Slam, Phillies won big. So it was good. It was a good day.
Yeah.
Watched the U.S. Open. Watched some guy that I didn't really know win. And he had his kids there. It was a nice moment. I say this as a golfer, as somebody who's played golf basically my whole life. Watching the U.S. Open is they make the course so hard so that those professionals look like us,
right?
Just out there hacking. Like, they get into the rough and they're trying to get out of the rough, and the rough is like 5.5 inches deep and thick as shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's us struggling every time we're out on a golf course. Us random golfers that are lucky to get out, a couple times a month. Or, even those that have the benefit of getting out once a week. Dude,
yeah, I've got a coworker, a fairly new guy that started, and he is like a massive golfer. He golfs every single weekend if the weather's good.
Look, it's great if you can pull it off.
Yeah.
Like I love to play golf, and I'd love to do more of it, but I also have all of these other things I want to do.
Yeah.
And golf is a 4-hour block of time that if I decide to go golfing, this is that 4 hours has to go into that block.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my brain is so rigid in its structure that if I if I have that 4-hour block in there, then what happens before and after it, like it throws everything off. Like now I've eliminated things that are going to happen after, and once I eliminate those things, now I get depressed about not being able to do those things, so then I don't feel like golfing. Then the whole thing doesn't happen. So it's a weird place, but I used to golf a lot.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy it because of the outdoor nature of it, because of the exercise and everything else. I really need to do more of it someday. Someday I will. But that was fun. I watched the end of that. The John, who I just spoke with as I was pulling up here.
Oh yeah.
He's back from his trip to Japan, and the one takeaway that we're talking about for the show is that in Disneyland in Japan,
Yeah, Tokyo Disney.
no Star Wars.
Oh.
They had Star Tours, and that's it. They had like a kiosk with some, a couple like just cheap Star Wars things, and that's it.
Really?
No like Star Wars paraphernalia. No, like you had the Star Tours ride. No lines. Like he said, they could have went like 100 times. They did. It was the Ahsoka scenario where with the space whales.
Yeah.
He said they could have done it all day if they wanted to, but in the park they didn't give two shits about that Star Wars area.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a shame.
and it's like they just had the big fucking the Star Wars convention, whatever it has a name, and I can't think of it right now.
Celebration.
Celebration. They just had it in Tokyo,
Yeah.
right? You would think that somewhere in fucking Tokyo or in Japan, there's like a Star Wars oasis that people are hiding,
Yeah.
but it's not in Disney because he was there all over it. He went to all the fucking parts of the park, and there was no Star Wars hiding anywhere.
No shit.
So for that was a little disappointing to hear.
Yeah.
But apparently, like Peter Pan's big over there, like the Peter Pan ride.
Well, yeah. It's pretty big over here too, actually. The Peter Pan rides, it's always a long ass line for them.
Yeah, he said it was like a 90-minute wait for the Peter Pan ride over there. And then there was a bigger Peter Pan ride in their version of the Epcot. It was called something C. Oh, damn it. Anyway, people can Google and look it up, but he said those were like world class rides with the Frozen Beauty and the Beast, Peter Pan. Like they were really, really good.
Yeah.
And he's got a wee one, so, and a wee lass. So
Yeah.
she's of the appropriate age to enjoy shit like that. So, but the breaking news from the John on location was that there was no Star Wars.
That's a shame. I wonder if it's just not that big out there.
I don't know.
Then why would they have Celebration in Tokyo, though?
There has to be. There's a secret layer of fucking Star Wars, and it's just not Disney-fied.
Yeah.
It's somewhere else.
Must be.
Top of Mount Fuji, maybe. I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, the last thing I was gonna, and this was just like for purposes of kind of chatting about it, was that Air India crash.
Yeah.
And look, it's absolutely fucking tragic.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely fucking tragic. Like watching it when I came in that morning, this was like a couple days ago, right? Of Friday? Was it Friday?
No, I think it was before then. I think it was like Thursday or
Maybe Thursday. Fucking weekend went by so fast.
yeah.
But I went into work and one of the guys at work was like, "Hey, did you see it?" Like this was like 7:30. And I was like, no, God, I didn't hear anything about it. So then I started digging at it. And it had happened like a couple hours before.
Yeah.
So I got on Twitter, and as much as Twitter is cancerous, if you want real-time information with unfiltered,
Yeah.
and you just want raw data, Twitter's the place to go, because people are walking around and they're just filming shit and uploading it.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a lot of raw data, unfortunately. A lot of dead bodies. It just people walking around, and it was just a tough thing to have at breakfast.
Right.
But, what's was hard was the fact that not only you have these people working around, like the families are going to see this stuff eventually, which is unfortunate. As from an investigation side, like you're kind of walking in areas where we'd rather you not be in that area. Just like let the professionals get in there so that we can see, because like the 11A passenger.
Yeah. How fucking wild was that?
It's random and it's luck.
Yeah.
It's just it's pure luck. The only thing I can think of is as I back in a napkin kind of math, like as it was going in at that speed, because it hit that hostel
Mhm.
for those medical students, like the empennage hit it first. So then it would have came down, and it probably, because 11A was like right in front of the center wing box,
Mhm.
right? So that's one of the strongest places of the airplane, is that center wing box. And if you just broke it right at the fuselage there, and your fucking feet are dangling, you're probably going to get ejected out of the plane. Like the airplane stops moving, so your potential energy turns into kinetic energy, and if your seat or you're not strapped in, you're going to go.
Yeah.
And if there's an opening where there wasn't before, you're going to get ejected out of the aircraft.
Yeah.
And that could potentially remove you from fire.
Right.
Because the fire is going to be coming forward as well. I mean, the physics that are like bringing the airplane, to a stop, that fuel's catching on fire, and that fuel is still sloshing forward, so that the fireball like moves forward as well.
Right. And that was a big ass fireball it created too.
They just took off. They were flying to Gatwick.
Yeah.
So they were full. Like it was filled with passengers, full gas tanks. It was 100 degrees outside. He would have needed the full runway. And it's the tragedy is, and there was two theories going at the time, and this was kind of the group think with other pilots in the squadron.
Mm.
A couple of them are airline guys, no 7-8 guys. There was none of them around.
Yeah.
The one video that you go by, and more people are seeing it now, because the original video that the guy posted, the audio is really good on it, and you hear an airplane that's just sounds like a dirty airplane, and you hear this kind of this whine,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds like a prop, and they think it's the rat was deployed.
Oh.
So if that's the case, and the rat was deployed, then they would have had like dual engine failure is one of the conditions where the rat would deploy.
Yeah.
On the 7-8. That's one of the logic things that would deploy it. And if that's the case, and then you're you're still outside the performance envelope, unfortunately. So there's that kind of theory that, all right, dual engine failure, which is that now that becomes a problem, bigger problem.
Yeah.
Bigger than the tragedy of all the loss of life and everything else. It's the how many 787s. There's 1,000 787s, I think, is the number, or it's over 1,000 787s that are flying currently. And if this is an issue that we need to look at all of them, we need to find that out right now, right? So we need the boxes. We need to find out what was going on inside the airplane, and to make that determination. The other theory, and this is the one that we were really we were talking about more, that seemed more realistic based on the views we were looking at from the aircraft taking off from the runway, was that it looked like a normal takeoff roll, right? And take off, rotate. And for me, like, if you're watching it real time, so we've been up front for enough takeoffs, right? You know the rhythm of it. You're like, you're kind of rolling down the runway. And a big part of flying these airplanes is, it's not just what the airplane's telling you, it's what all your senses are telling you at the same time. Like, that's a big part of like what I'm studying in human factors, is like all these inputs that you're getting that aren't just what the airplane is telling you from a mechanical standpoint. It's also like, what am I hearing? Do I hear like, oh, I should be hearing a flat motor right now, or I should be hearing the gear getting in the well. What's happening? And then how am I going to react to that? But thinking back to the 7.5, right? Standard, you would, at the end of the runway, you stand up the throttles, release brakes, the auto throttle will pull the throttles forward. But the captain, let's say, for the benefit of this conversation, is holding on to the throttles as you go down the runway. You're using the tiller, for no, not using the tiller. You're using the rudder pedals to control your nose gear steering up to 30 knots. Again, this is 757 numbers that are in my head, and then you get down the runway, you get to your V1, and then at V1, it's rotate, and the hand comes off the throttle and begins to pull the airplane up.
Yeah.
So once that happens, now the hands are off the throttles, and I get to nose the airplane up. A couple things are going to happen. Like, you feel it in your body, right? You feel now the lifting body of the aircraft, now it kind of like, you feel it take over once you get the nose of the airplane up. So when you say positive rate, or whatever however they call it, I've only ever heard it as positive rate. Yeah. So you say positive rate gear up, right? That's how we've heard it
hundreds of times. Yeah.
So positive rate gear up, and meanwhile you're climbing away your VVI. You're looking at your VVI, waiting to get to the altitude where you can push L nav to be able to engage the autopilot, which you can do in the 757 at 400 feet. They only made it to 695 feet. Wow. So when they got to that 400-foot mark, and they did have like, if he had said positive rate gear up, and he would have had his hands on the yoke, if the co-pilot moved the flap handle instead of the gear handle, then instead of cleaning the airplane up to get the gear in the well, now you've changed the performance of the aircraft, the performance of the wing, and you're not going to have, if the auto throttles, because now his hands aren't on the throttles, right? They're on the yoke. So the auto throttles are going to be set to whatever rating you put in the computer. It's going to take off do your takeoff and landing data, and it's going to, whatever you put in the computer, it's going to have this derated thrust condition, right? Because it's never like, you're never just like, just throw the throttles all the way forward and just go, right? I mean, there's times for that. It can do it, but to be efficient and not be like burning up through your carbon footprint. You go in there and say, okay, what's the most efficient way to be able to take off?
Yeah.
So they would have done that, and that should take into account field elevation, temperature outside, how heavy you are,
Yep.
and all that data. Say, okay, this is the thrust setting, and that's what it would have been in. That's what where the throttles would have been.
Yeah.
So if you don't clean up the airplane to get to that position, now you've changed the configuration, and you don't recognize it in time to intervene. Like and to toga, because you gotta get your hand on the throttle, right? Hit the toga, which is the takeoff go around. If you hit the toga, get the fucking throttles firewalled.
Yeah.
Get the nose of the airplane down, because you see the airplane, the nose is up like this.
Yep.
Right. That to me, what I saw was the airplane just trimming itself up with the autopilot, just trying to get enough angle of attack to be able to generate lift.
Yeah.
That wasn't the pilot pulling that in. That was the airplane kind of doing it on its own. So to me, it didn't look like there was any pilot intervention. Could be 100% could be wrong.
Yeah. So your overall theory, though, is that instead of putting the gear up, he put the flaps up.
Yeah, that he moved the flap handle instead of the gear handle. And now, is that the only thing? Did they have the takeoff and landing data configured properly especially for that temperature? I mean, the captain had over 8,000 hours. The co-pilot had 1,100 hours. Like, I don't feel like this was an inexperienced crew that wouldn't have. That they fly in India all the time. It's hot as fuck there.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have discounted that portion of it. So, was there something wrong with the data in the computer that they didn't know about? That could have been, the fault could have been there. But again, it's something that we need to see the boxes to see, like, okay, what exactly was in here? And then, even if the pilot could have intervened, it would have had to have been like he only would have had my flat fucking bonk.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of making a point and then just bonk, bonk.
If he would have had to have intervened so quickly to get the throttles forward, get the nose down, because you still have spool up, right? You're in a takeoff configuration, but you still have to. The airplane's still dirty. The gear are still down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that moment, when you're trying to get the airplane to climb, because they still had enough energy where they climbed another couple hundred feet.
Yeah.
That was it. They stopped climbing.
Yeah.
So if it was dual engine failure, I mean, impressive, the glide ratio, because they did in fact glide. Glided. Did I just say glid? Like it was a word?
Yeah.
Glid is not a word.
Yeah.
Folks.
Oh.
Glided.
Sidebar. You know what word that I said the other day that Kristen thought was not a real word, but turns out it was a real word?
What's that?
Flawful.
Falafel?
No, not falafel.
Flawful.
Flawful. Like you're full of flaws. Flawful.
Flawful.
Right. Because, there's flawless and then there's flawful.
Okay. Makes total sense.
Yeah, but it's an actual word. I said it in kind of the same vein. I'm like, it sounds like that would make sense, right? Flawful, right. The opposite of flawless.
Yeah.
And she, tried to call me out. I was like, no, that's bullshit. That's not a real word. So we looked it up, and sure enough, it actually is a word.
Yeah.
1 L, though, at the end, not 2. Flawful.
Fair enough. I'll give you that.
Yeah. But that's a real word.
I don't think glid's a word, though.
It glid all the way home.
Right. Glided at a 500 foot per minute descent.
Yeah.
Once it started to come down. But there was no attempt to bring the gear up or anything. So it's this is one of those cases where everything is speculation. Anything that I've said is not I'm going to say this out loud because you have to. This is all just speculation on my part based on the images that I have seen
Mm-hmm.
and my experience and my education.
Yeah.
It is not at all an admonishment on the crew or to place blame or anything else. It's just a discussion point for what's based on the evidence that's there.
Yeah.
You need the boxes are going to tell us everything we need to know, honestly, about what happened with this. But it needs to happen fast, like really fast,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of these airplanes that are flying right now.
But they've been flying for a while, haven't they?
They have.
Isn't this the first 787 incident?
Yep.
So,
But it's the first 787 fatality like this.
yeah.
That doesn't mean that we haven't had 787s that have had some sort of maintenance disturbance.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
With that, it could have been related to the engines. I forget which engines were on these, but yeah, it's just something we have to get to ground. The last thing I'd say is too, and if you're a pilot and you're listening to this, I don't know why, weird, like the rest of us, but you know, you can't forget to fly the airplane,
Yeah.
right? A mayday call, while seeming to be relevant, right? Hey, yeah, I want to tell everybody that there's a problem, is not the most important thing.
Right.
Like, it's more important. That's why we say aviate, navigate, and communicate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fly the airplane.
Yep.
Figure out where the fuck you are, then talk to somebody. Because you're moving. You gotta move the airplane somewhere. You gotta figure out somewhere, and then talk to somebody so you can get somewhere.
Yeah.
But if you don't fly the airplane, then the other two don't matter.
Right.
It hammers that home because talking to civilians that don't have any basis of experience, they only get what the talking heads give to them from media, and they're so fixated on the fucking Mayday call. They're so fixated on that. It's like, no, you're focused on the wrong thing. That's not what this is about. But anyway, it's a horrible tragedy though, and I'll tell you, man, it's not good for Boeing.
No, haven't been doing themselves much in the way of favors lately as it is.
No,
but this isn't going to help.
Their shares bottomed, not bottomed out, but they dropped significantly after this mishap.
Yep.
The Paris Air Show was happening this past weekend.
Oh.
And the significance of that, for those who don't know, is a lot of fucking deals get done at the Paris Air Show. That's like one of the big kind of like, oh, if we're going to buy airframes, we're going to do it at this air show because of the visibility of it.
Oh.
And Airbus raked in the orders at this air show. Like, I'd be curious, like, because I get the magazines. It's too much data. I get too much shit. I wish I could fixate on one thing. But I get those magazines, so I'm curious to see like how Boeing made out. But I highly doubt that it's even close.
Right.
I have a feeling Airbus made a killing. No pun intended. That was inappropriate, but that was not intended at all.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
Lockheed stock went up quite a bit after the Israel thing when they bombed Iran because they used F-35s. So Lockheed stock went up quite a bit that day.
Is that one of your incentive packages? Is stock?
It could very well be.
Nice. I unfortunately I don't gain anything from the working for the government. I don't gain anything or lose anything, I guess, except for just a piece of my soul.
Right.
Because I work for the government. Anyway, keep all those people in your thoughts and prayers that are having to deal with losing their family members.
And somebody take that survivor to Vegas.
Yeah. I saw something. There was another 11A passenger
I saw the same thing.
that
Yeah.
reached out. I don't believe in coincidence. Like, there's no divine intervention about seat 11A.
Right.
It's all about where you were sitting in the airplane. Like, I tell my kids and everyone else, like, okay, this is where I want you to sit in the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you have the ability, this is where the strengths are in the airplane. But even that it all depends. There was some survivability. So this is why it's important to Dave, right? Why is Dave care about this besides the fact airplanes? In my field of study for human factors, and even just like studying aviation safety in my undergrad, I want to find out what the fuck happened so that if I can figure out how to make that not happen again, I want to do it. If not me, who? If not now, when? Right?
Right.
So if I could be on that investigation team and add something, I would in a minute. And it's extremely, I'm not comfortable with all the death and everything else like that has to come with this, but it hammers home the point of like why. It's the why that I want to do this. Like, the end state of this is that I want to make the system to the point where this doesn't happen. Whatever happened to make this tragedy, I want to be able to provide a methodology that prevents it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm fucking that's why I picked such a hard thing for grad school. Like, that's why I'm doing the human factors thing, because it's still the contribution I want to make. I really want to feel like I can still do something for that.
Sure. Yeah.
And and I probably never will, but on the off chance that I can, I'd rather be able to.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's Dave. I'm getting off the soapbox, mainly because I'm going to pee on it.
All right. So before we get into our main topic, I think we are going to take a break so Dave can pee.
Yes.
But we'll be very short and back to Tales of the Underworld after this very quick word from our sponsors.
Colt 45, it's a dynamite taste, it's a grin, it's a groove, it's a blast. Colt 45, it's a dynamite taste, it's a win, it's a definite blast. Colt 45, and loaded with dynamite taste. So grab one, down one, get yourself a round one. Colt 45, malt liquor, Colt 45, it's a dynamite taste.
Oh, hey, sorry. I'm texting the wife. Apparently, my son wants to take the car, my new car. So I'm going to let him, but I happen to have the keys in my pocket. So somebody is coming for the keys at some point. But they can't come out right now because Dave's pissing outside. It's a conundrum. Someone's going to be coming in and getting my keys. Yes, either Kristen or Ben or Adam. It's clear now. What you looking for?
I'm looking for either Rebel Rising or Catalyst. I think Catalyst is over there. I think it was we had it in a small paperback.
Okay. I don't feel like digging for it right now. I know. Dave's digging through.
The Sacred Jedi.
Not the Black Series, though. The Sacred Jedi.
The Sacred Jedi.
No, we don't have the text on here anymore.
Ever you start looking for something and you're like, oh, look at these titles. I'd like to read that again, and then you just forget what you were looking for in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Rogue Planet. That's not.
Enter. Hey. Don't wreck my car. Goddamn kids. All right, are you done down there so we can get back to the show? Dave is digging through the texts. Oh. Is that Rebel Rising?
It is.
Ah, how about that? All right, so you ready to get back? It's cold outside. Every second of the night. And we're back. So, Tales of the Underworld.
Yes. Tales of the music.
Yeah. So it's essentially two stories. We've got one involving Ventress over 3 of these episodes, one involving Cad Bane over 3 of these episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The episodes are about 15 minutes each. So it's a quick watch.
It is.
And it'll be an even quicker overview. So why don't we start with the first one, which was Ventress's story.
Normally we would start at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a logical place to start.
Yeah, and speaking of logical places to start, this starts right at that point that we read in the what the hell was the name of that book? The Ventress and
Rebel Rising.
No, the Ventress and Quinlan Voss book.
Oh, I just saw it.
Like Dark
Disciple.
Dark Disciple, that's right. Yeah, we've got one of the scenes from that book opening this show.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
No, it was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird to see it because I'm like, wait a minute. Have I seen this before?
Right.
Like, because legitimately, I clicked on this to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was seeing this scene, I'm like, I know this scene.
Yeah.
Have I seen this before? And because I thought maybe this was an older one, and I was just rewatching it, and I stopped and I looked back and I'm like, no, it just came out like today.
Yeah.
So I went back to it, and then I realized later that that's what it was. It was from Dark Disciple. So
Yeah.
good on them for fucking getting it close enough where, I mean, it's been a minute since I read that book, but
Yeah. And they even had Obi-Wan in it.
yeah.
which was interesting.
Yeah, good bringing the characters in it that were involved.
Yeah. And of course, it showed how she got resurrected, because that was the one little gap that we didn't have, was from the time that Quinlan put her body into the fucking waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Right.
To
the cleansing waters.
To the point where we saw her in the Bad Batch, where we find out later that she's alive all of a sudden.
She's alive and her hair grew back.
Yeah. So now we found out how we got to that point. Mother Talzin offered her eternal life in the netherworld, or she could continue living. She chose to continue living.
Idiot.
I know, right? So yeah, we see the resurrection, and this is definitely in the Empire era, because one of the first things we see after that is stormtroopers roaming the city of wherever it is that she's at. She basically gets a job as a bouncer at a transport station.
Right.
You know, kicking fucking lowlifes out of there who can't pay, and
right, keeping the train from getting robbed, basically.
Yeah.
And which in traditional Westerns, that person usually arranges for one of his people to rob the train. That's usually what happens.
Yeah.
That's not what happens here. I'm just making a comment about train robberies.
Yep. And then as she's doing her job, she comes across this kid, Lyko, who she realizes very quickly is a former Padawan, when he tries to use a Jedi mind trick on the lady that runs the station.
Right.
This is enough money or whatever.
Right. Credits will do fine.
Yeah. And she's just watching him, kind of arms crossed, just like, really?
Like, okay, kid. Come on now. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knew when you walked through that goddamn door that you were a Jedi.
Yeah. And,
yeah. That's what we need to say. We'll say that. We'll just keep saying, like, now we just, instead of like almost saying the bad thing,
right,
we'll just say Jedi.
Okay.
We just do that.
Okay.
So it's substitute Jedi.
Fuck your couch, Jedi. Buy another one, you rich motherfucker.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. I think we've nailed it.
All right.
We've fucking brilliant. Back on the menu, baby.
All right. Jeez.
My Jedi.
I have a bad feeling where this is going.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Oh, God. So anyway, so she tries to kick this kid out and tell him, like, hey, you have the ability to, survive on your own.
Get your Jedi ass out of here.
Right. And then, of course, he gets on the radar of the stormtroopers.
Right.
And
this Jedi right here. It's gonna get bad. I've opened the door to something that's not good.
Oh shit. Anyway, damn it, I lost my place.
She kicks him out.
Yeah, she kicks him out, but then ends up taking him back in. I can't remember how, but he's got stormtroopers on him this time.
Well, yeah, I think she just like sees the stormtroopers and is like, "Oh shit, get your ass in here!"
Like throws him behind the counter and
hide in here.
Yeah, and the stormtroopers come in, and then fucking Ventress does the mind trick on the guys. There's nothing to see here. You want to go to Docking Bay 24 or whatever it was.
94.
94.
Yeah, and as they're leaving, the owner of the place fucking rats out Ventress and the kid. So this starts a big chase where essentially, did I say Ahsoka?
You did.
Ventress and the kid, right. Where they're kind of trying to escape together. And we get to a point where they get to a transport, and wouldn't you know it, an Inquisitor shows up. And this looked like a brand new Inquisitor, I think. Because I didn't recognize it from...
Yeah, I didn't recognize him either. And in the Wikipedia page, it just says the Inquisitor.
Yeah. So another new Inquisitor shows up and has a pretty badass lightsaber fight between him and Ventress.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, the kid gets knocked down, so she gets his lightsaber. So now Ventress is dual wielding,
right.
And she's fucking fighting off the Inquisitor. At one point, though, he disarms her and looks like he's about to go in for the killing blow when the fucking kid just
Right.
fucking double blades through the chest from the back and kills
And
the
now
Inquisitor.
she owes him a life debt.
Yes. And they get away on the transport, and that's pretty much that first episode.
Jedi, please. So, couple things here.
Mhm.
One, this episode started great. I was like, oh, here's a thing. It's kind of familiar, but it's like, all right, we're getting like some core thing about Ventress.
Yeah.
And all right, now we're fast forwarding. And now there's this kid that she's like going to be friends with and going to want to protect at some point. Now, like, we've done this story.
Yeah.
We've played this story out. Like, I was a little bit disappointed that we were going down this road, the story, because I didn't give two shits about this kid.
Right. And I was pretty much in the same boat to the point where even by the end of these 3 episodes, I couldn't care less.
Did not give a shit about this kid.
Yeah. So
Just you know what I was concerned with by the end of these 3 episodes? Right? Who is hotter? Ventress or Ahsoka? Discuss.
I would have to say Ventress because, I mean, Ahsoka with the Leku and all that, I can't get into that. You know, but Ventress is, by all means, she's a human-looking figure with some nice curves to her. They really animate her ass quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'd say probably Ventress. Now, if we're talking live action, we're talking...
well, we haven't seen a Ventress live action.
True.
We don't know who they'd get.
Yeah.
Who would they get? Discuss.
Who would play a good Ventress? They'd have to be, like, very slender.
Slender, tall, Asian.
But also have some muscle to her.
Right.
Some ability to fight. I don't know.
We got to work on this.
Yeah. I would say the chick that played the female Professor X in Deadpool versus Wolverine, but
Since I've never seen that, I have no idea who you're talking about.
yeah,
I'm
but
sure I can Google it.
I'm thinking the only reason I'm probably thinking of her is because she was bald in that.
Ah.
But
Yeah, and I prefer the bald Ventress as opposed to the
weird
butch
hair.
haircut
Yeah.
Ventress. I mean, I get it. She's grown it out. That's cool. What do you girl? But
Mhm.
I prefer her bald.
Okay. Fair enough. But yeah, from me,
I throw it to you. Those in the chat. We have an Angelina Jolie, and I mean that's actually not unreasonable if it was her 15 years ago, maybe? Like when
Yeah.
she did Salt. Have you seen that movie, Salt?
No.
Gee, this idiot. This motherfucker
What
right
the?
here.
Why am I an idiot?
This motherfucker, this Jedi right here. He doesn't watch fucking. He's not a Bond guy.
No.
He's not. He doesn't watch those kind of movies.
Mission Impossible. Never seen one of those.
Yeah. So Lucy Liu's not. She's not sporty enough.
Yeah.
But like Salt's a good fucking movie.
I'm sure it is.
It is a good action movie.
Okay, I don't understand why I'm an idiot and
Because you've never seen fucking a Bond movie. I don't know what happened that we didn't get to the Bond thing. What happened that we didn't get to the Bond thing?
just other stuff took precedence.
I feel like there was, I don't know, whatever. But we got to get back to that.
All right.
I want to circle back to that
Okay.
because the fucking there's a giant hole in your perception of action shit.
Okay.
Because you haven't seen a Bond movie. But like Angelina Jolie and Salt would be good. Oh, you know what else? Who else would be good? That one sounded more normal.
Yeah.
Gina Davis when she was in Long Kiss Goodnight.
Oh, yeah. But again, we can't have that Gina Davis because it's 2025.
You can
so-
do anything with CGI these days.
Yeah, but if they're going to CGI somebody, they're not going to put Gina Davis in
Well, I mean,
as
that's
Ventress. So I'm thinking we need like a current younger actress.
Well, I don't know current younger actresses, so we're just going to have to name people that we wish it was in that time frame.
All right, fine.
So that this would generate a list. I encourage you out there to discuss it. Plus, I'm filling time because we're going to be at the end of this in like 10 minutes.
Well, we've only talked about one episode so far.
Right, because I'm dragging it out. This is what I do.
All right.
All right, next episode.
All right. Next episode is called Friends.
Friends.
Dun,
Exactly.
dun, dun, dun,
I
dun, dun,
don't
dun.
care about this kid at all.
So they Ventress at some point, I think what was it? So she's talking about the path, right? That we know about that was introduced in Obi-Wan that Quinlan Vos was involved in, the path of like the Underground Railroad
Right.
for Jedi that survived the Purge.
Right.
And she had caught wind of it. So that's what she wants to do with the kid. She wants to get him on the bus to the path to Quinlan Vos and, all of the hidden Jedi.
Right.
So she meets up with her friend, this bounty hunter.
She's trying to flick that booger to get him onto like, all right, go over and get on this thing.
Yeah. Her friend looks like fucking Poison Ivy from Batman and Robin. Like she's in these green leaf like chestlet thing. And
Chestlet, that's a great word.
yeah, whatever the hell that thing is that she's wearing. She's got
She's got a chestlet covering her chesticles.
she's got the red hair and kind of the bun tails.
I did. That's the Poison Ivy reference is a good one.
Yeah, she looked just like Poison Ivy. So yeah, Ventress is trying to get.
Wasn't Uma Thurman Poison Ivy?
Yeah,
I've never understood what people saw in her.
I mean, she has a nice rack, but in the face, she's just kind of.
She's been ridden hard and put away wet. I just not into it.
But yeah, if you ever see the scene from Dangerous Liaisons where she goes topless, pretty
Okay.
good. Yeah,
Probably a stunt rack.
could be.
A stunt rack. We're coming up with all kinds of shit today. Has anybody used stunt rack before?
That's a first one.
No, trademark. Right now. Boom.
Yep,
Stamp.
trademark. Anyway, so Poison Ivy's going to help her.
That's how us Jedis do it.
Poison Ivy's going to help her get him to the path with some intel that she might be able to dig up. But first, she's going to send them on a mission
Right.
because that's what we do. So this one was actually interesting because she wants to steal a shielding unit from the Star Destroyers. It's contained in the big balls at the top of the Star Destroyer.
Balls.
I guess there's like this shield computer module thing
Big,
that they're
beautiful
trying to.
balls.
Yeah. But it was funny because when we go to the place where they're trying to steal this from is where they're manufacturing them. So all you see are the Star Destroyer balls coming down the conveyor belt.
Which is not how you would assemble that. Like, it's a radome. That's what those things are. It's a radome.
Yeah.
Like, if it was like Star Wars physics, no.
Yeah. So anyway, so they make the deal. Are you okay?
We don't have a representation of a Star Destroyer in here.
No. We should fix that.
I can't believe we don't have a single one.
Yeah.
Huh, all right.
So anyway, the heist for the intel about the path is what the deal is. So they get on the planet. This fucking droid friend of Poison Ivy's is also part of the crew, and essentially they stop the trucks that are hauling these fucking space balls.
Spaceballs
We didn't
Stop,
talk about
we didn't
the-
talk about the fucking thing.
Yeah, that's right. Spaceballs sequel was announced.
All right. Let's finish this episode.
Okay.
We'll save it for the end.
Okay.
Let's save it for the end because I didn't see it. I didn't see the trailer.
What?
I didn't watch the trailer.
Oh my God, Dave. All right, fine.
I've been busy. The world
I
is
know.
fucking ending.
I know.
And I apparently have work to do.
All right. So we'll make this one quick because they go to steal this thing. The Empire sees them. Boom, boom, shoot, shoot.
Right. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. It's pretty funny though, because one of these space balls comes untangled from its truck, and it's just like rolling down the road. And yeah, and Ventress and Lyco are like kind of like rolling with it, and they're stuck inside for a while as it's rolling, and then they got to go to the surface, and then they got to run on top of it while it's rolling, and
right.
They lose the shield thing that they came there for. So Poison Ivy decides, like, fucking fuck this bitch, I'm gonna steal this kid and turn him over to the Empire for a bounty.
Fair trade.
Yeah, but Ventress has none of that. She is able to get back onto the ship after all. Puts a fucking lightsaber to Homegirl's throat and is basically like, give me the intel and I won't kill you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you do.
Yeah. So Poison Ivy gives her the intel. She fucks off. And then now we're stuck with Ventress and Lyco looking for the path onto the next episode.
Yep. On to the next.
So nothing else about that one?
Like they didn't have room for a filler episode, and this was a filler episode.
I know, right?
It just wasn't good.
Yeah.
I wasn't into it at all.
Yep. And then the last episode is One Warrior to Another. And it starts off with those two. Now they're riding a fucking camel through the desert for some reason. Still looking for this path. They're looking for some fucking valley. And they come across an old man's house.
So we have two climates in Star Wars.
Yes.
You have a desert.
Yeah. You have cold.
Well, technically, I mean, Hoth is like the tundra, which is a form of desert, right?
Yeah, it's fair. Very
So,
cold desert.
Yeah, so desert, and then you have jungle.
Mm.
That's it. Until you get to Waterworld, but otherwise, that's been erased from the Jedi archives,
Right.
so it doesn't exist.
Andor, he was on that planet Florida for a brief moment.
Yeah, until Planet Florida fucking was eliminated.
Yeah.
Like just the fallout alone after that blast. Anyway, I digest.
So yeah, they're riding a camel through the desert. They come across a homestead where there's an old guy and his granddaughter that live there. Come to find out, the old guy is a separatist soldier.
Right.
Like, he's got this fucking rack full of medals.
Right.
From the separatist side. And he recognizes her as Asajj Ventress.
Mm-hmm.
And which is why he's willing to help them. At least we think that that's what's going on. And of course, he's got to send them on a mission. It's like, I'll tell you where your path is, but you got to do something for me first. Sounds familiar.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Do you think the Wizard of Oz is at fault for this?
What, for these quest type episodes?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like, what was the first one that had shit like this? Like, just the random, like, oh, hey, we're encountering these strangers, and that stranger sends you on a fucking quest.
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what would be considered the first.
Like,
But-
in movies. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, it's been done in books. I mean, Lord of the Rings is
Mm.
one big version of fucking that.
Yeah. 3 books of one guy doing a favor for some other people.
Jedi, please.
So yeah, the man sends him to go harvest some water because apparently they're very short on water there.
Right.
and they go to this local watering hole where that's allegedly, surrounded by raiders.
Right.
And they're afraid of these raiders who are gonna come in and pillage everything and take the water that they wanted. So Ventress and Lyco go and help the granddaughter harvest some water from this little pool. When the raiders show up, who are a bunch of, I'm curious what the species is, but they're a bunch of like 3 foot tall. They're like blue Ewoks, essentially.
It reminded me of the alien that's in Galaxy Quest. The alien that's with the rock monster.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we'll go with that. But yeah, come to find out, oh no, it's their water. It was always their water.
It's their water.
And the grandfather and the granddaughter are stealing their water and killing some of their people in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lyco decides, well, he's going to be the translator and he's going to help translate,
Right, because he's good at that.
Right. And they have to convince the grandfather to let go, right? To hand over his blaster and, negotiate and talk things over with these people.
Tales of the Underworld.
Yes.
We've really, really nailed it.
Yeah.
Like, all right, here's Andor. Dark. Just
well written,
well
performed,
but dark imagery.
Yeah.
Then Tales in the Underworld. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
At the end.
Here's a kid and
there's friends.
Yeah. Little blue Ewoks.
So you keep saying Lyco.
Uh-huh.
And in my brain it keeps going lycopene. And I'm like, why is lycopene? Why is that? There's got to be a reason. So I looked up lycopene. There's no reason for it to relate to it. But it's a powerful antioxidant found in red fruits and vegetables like tomatoes and watermelons.
Oh shit.
So lycopene, watermelon.
Right.
My Jedi.
And yes,
that was a big lead up for that one fucking line.
So yeah, they basically convinced the grandfather and the granddaughter to make peace with the little blue guys, and that's that. Then they tells them where the valley is that they got to go to.
Right. Here's the path.
Yep. So they slowly make their way over on their fucking camel or whatever.
Right. Make great time, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like every time in Star Wars when they're like transversing this giant area, they make amazing time.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing that always has just boggled my mind in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right, most movies, but Star Wars in particular. It's like you're on this 4-legged animal. There's no fucking way. Like this desert is the size of this fucking Sahara.
Yeah.
And those rocks are might as well be 1 billion miles away.
Mm-hmm.
No fucking way. Like you're transversing that distance. Traversing, not transversing.
Well, maybe when we're not looking, this camel is actually sprinting. It's like actually riding like a horse.
You need to ride like an intercontinental ballistic missile to fucking make it over there.
Yeah.
With that kind of speed.
So they get to the spot. Sure enough, there's a ship down there. You can see it's loading up people. So Ventress is like, all right, go, little kid, get out of here.
Yeah.
That's your people. And he's like, oh, you're not coming with me? She's like, no, I've chosen a different path. And she leaves. She's riding away on the camel at about half the speed of smell.
Right.
And wouldn't you know it, the kid comes back.
Oh, of course he does.
Yeah.
Of course he does. Who didn't see that coming?
Yeah. So he's like,
raise your hand if you didn't see that coming. No.
So yeah, he's like, I'd rather stay with you. And that's it.
Now she has a fucking sidekick.
Yeah.
Underworld. Tales of the Underworld.
Yeah.
How is this the Underworld? What about the Underworld was this?
I have no idea.
This was what?
It seemed like an excuse to just get the Ventress story out there.
But this isn't part of her story.
Apparently it is now. Because now she's going to have all kinds of misadventures with this fucking kid. No, but so to your point. That actually sounded pretty awesome when you hit your fucking microphone stand and ignited the lightsaber. It's like...
I try to duplicate that, but it's just going to make a lot of noise.
Yeah. No, as soon as I finished watching this, I'm like, what was the fucking point of that?
Yeah.
Because...
And why am I going to watch? Do I really want to watch the rest of this? And I did.
Yeah.
But I was annoyed.
Yeah. Well, as far as just the Ventress story itself, yeah, it felt like it served no purpose. Basically, it just showed us how she got resurrected and then introduced this annoying kid. And that's it.
Yeah, I think what bothers me the most about it is there's so much other good, like, canon that has been in Rebels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the books, and you start out with a good part of her story, and then you go off into this, and you're selling it as Tales of the Underworld, and really it's just, here's June and the Beaver that are fucking going out and getting into a misadventure.
Now,
tune in next week, kids.
I'm sure the people that watch these animated ones can be more casual Star Wars viewers. You know, Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Underworld. But if you hadn't read that Dark Disciple book and you watched the beginning of this, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Why are Quinlan Vos and Obi-Wan carrying the dead body of Ventress?
Would they even know it's Quinlan Vos? I mean,
yeah, that's what he looked like in Clone Wars, right?
All right, we're making an assumption that the casual person that's watching this also watched Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, shit, we barely watched the Clone Wars.
Yeah, but we know who Quinlan Vos is.
True, because we read the books.
Yeah.
Spectrum. It's a spectrum.
That's true. And the people on the lower end of the spectrum probably turned this on and were like, what the fuck is going on? Did we miss like 5 episodes leading up to this?
Oh, man. Sidebar. So... I went into a rabbit hole with ChatGPT the other day.
Oh yeah,
and I had it drawing just some pictures.
But
I was trying to just generate some stuff for work. And I'll tell you, it's interesting the level of detail it'll get, and then when you try and make a finite adjustment, how it'll fuck the whole thing up.
Oh really?
Like it's. Even when you're very, very, very specific about a change that you want on a picture, it'll make that change, and something else will be fucked up on it. So it's not perfect,
right?
But it gets close. It's pretty impressive, to be honest. Anyway, I'm going to go into ChatGPT, and I'm going to make us a Star Wars fan spectrum. That's going to happen
with some examples like,
right.
If you're familiar with this, you're on this part of the spectrum,
right? Yeah.
If you've seen only this, then you're on this side of the spectrum.
This is going to be my toilet project for the next week.
All right, I like it. Can't wait to see the big reveal.
Yeah, and there'll be a sneak peek on conversation for offline conversation.
Okay. Something to remind me, or is it about the spectrum?
About the spectrum.
Okay. All right. Let's get to the other story, the Cad Bane story.
I like you. Say sorry.
I never liked that song.
I've been wrong. I've been down at the bottom of every bottle.
Anyway, so starting with the Cad Bane story, the first episode, we're following these street rats, these two Duros kids who are running around basically trying to find food and, stealing and, up to all kinds of kid shenanigans for
Right.
kids who are on the streets. And at first I'm like, oh, I wonder if the blue skin one, because one's like the green skin, the other's the blue skin, but but they're both Duroses. They're both
Derosians.
I don't think that's right. But anyway, I'm like, oh, maybe one of these is a young Cad Bane. And then as they're playing on the streets, on the fucking corner is sitting the guy with the fucking hat and the toothpick and everything. I'm like, oh, okay, that was a nice little bait and switch. That's Cad Bane. And, the whole...
But no.
No,
it's not.
Yeah, come to find out, that wasn't Cad Bane.
Well, apparently all Doroses look the same.
Yeah, which...
That's what we get.
Yeah.
Just like all Jedi look the same.
Yes, exactly. But what the hell was I going to say? Yeah, so the kids' names too are stupid. They're like
McTwixter and
like Cole and fucking Nero. Yeah, Nero is the buddy, and Cole or Chris or something with a C is Cad Bane's name back then. So the guy that comes up to them is Laszlo, and he's the guy. He's dressed in the fucking Cad Bane gear, the hat, the toothpick. Yeah, and he basically, he throws a coin at the kids and is like, "I'm making an investment," and he leaves, and they're like, "What the fuck is this weirdo doing?" But all right. Come on, Charles, let's go.
Let's go to the candy store.
Let's go to the candy store. And they buy a bunch of candy. They're fucking,
They fill themselves up. They ate the big fucking bellies.
Yeah, so they're like sitting there laying like a bunch of fucking slugs when
Colby.
Laszlo comes back.
Colby, like cheese.
Okay, and then he tells Nero and Charles to hey, if you want more money like that, then I got a job for you. And that's basically how he gets them into the Underworld, is to...
So, do you think that there was a deliberate effort on the part of the writers to avoid giving them candy to get them to do what they wanted? Like, he could have just been like, hey, you like candy, kid? Why'd you come on over to my van and come on and get in? We'll go for a ride.
Yeah. I mean, you take a gift from a stranger.
Right.
You do what he wants, and then you end up becoming one of the most badass, well-loved characters in all of Star Wars.
And you probably learn how to suck a dick.
Oh, and take a dick for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but we don't pay attention to those details. That's what goes on behind. That's the real Underworld.
Right.
Is what's going on
there. That's the tale. That's the
tale of the Underworld.
Yes.
So they he gets them to go on to this heist with them.
Come on, buddy.
And I can't even remember what they were trying to steal. Oh no, there was like a secret room. Well, yeah, but there was like this secret room behind the candy store. Of course, the candy store.
Right.
And
I think it was a general store. We're calling it a candy store because.
Yeah.
But I mean, because that's what they got. They got candy.
Yeah. So, and he wanted them to distract the security guy while they go into that back room where like the fucking gambling's going on, and then steal the fucking, the pot, I guess.
Gambling.
Yeah.
Gambling.
So yeah, Nero and Chaz are back there distracting the guy. They jump in, shoot, boom, boom. We got the coins, and fucking, they're all trying to escape. The adults are running fast. They're booking it. Whereas Nero and Cole, they are running a little bit slow to the point where Nero actually gets caught by the police.
Right.
And then that leaves Chloe with options. Like, do I go back for my friend?
How many variations of a sea name are we going to get through?
I don't know, but he's like, do I go back to my friend and try to help him, or do I go off with the adults? And he decides to go off with the adults,
Right.
You know,
Smartly.
and left.
Because why else? What good are you going to be incarcerated with him?
Right.
You're not going to be in the same cell. You're not going to be in juvie together. Right? What the hell was that?
Nothing. Never you mind. Anyway, so yeah, Chase ends up with fucking the adults,
Right.
while Nero is
Probably literally, but okay.
yeah. Well, it's funny because they both actually probably follow similar paths. Nero is getting raped in prison. Anyway, Nero is getting raped in prison while Caleb is getting raped by the adults in the underworld.
Right. Right.
So, even though their paths diverge,
Yeah, that tight blue little ass.
yeah,
Yep.
or green, depending.
Well, yeah, depending.
Yeah. So that's what happens there. Next episode.
I'm glad we divulged that down into the come on, get in my van, give me some candy.
Yeah.
That and then touching dicks.
Mhm.
That's pretty much the episode.
Yeah, pretty much. The next episode, fucking Carlos is now going by the name of Cad. And he's got like some fucking girlfriend with him who's part of their gang, but she's also sort of his like lady friend, and she's a Duro. So I'm assuming this planet, by the way, that they start off on is Duros or Duro or whatever the hell the name of the planet is.
Sandoros.
Sandoros?
Sandoros.
Are you making that up?
Yes.
For a second, I thought you actually knew what you were talking about.
No.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the Duros homeworld because there's a lot of them on here. There's a lot of other species too.
It means a whale's vagina.
But yeah, and now we know for sure that Christopher is Cad Bane because of the voice too, because his voice is actually starting to get deeper.
Starting to get that Dirty Harry sound to it.
Yeah.
Choking on all those dicks makes my voice sound like this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Biscuits and gravy. Mm-hmm.
And it starts off with Laszlo, the original Cad Bane, going on a mission back to the Duros homeworld or wherever the fuck it is that this took place, where he met the, Nero and fucking Carter at the, in the streets. So they're going back to that place to do a job. Fucking Laszlo gets killed. When the rest of the crew comes back, Laszlo's fucking dead.
Right.
And now Cad Bane's like, oh, I'm gonna murder some motherfuckers now.
Right.
So he takes the hat and he's ready to go back home and do some killing in the name of his old boss.
This hat's going to make me look unique to the other Duroses, even though I'm going to look exactly like the guy who was just wearing it.
Yeah. Oh, and we didn't mention too, the Laszlo guy sounds nothing like Cad Bane. So when he comes up to the kids, he's like, "Hey kids, here's a coin," or whatever. So you're like, "Oh, that's not Cad."
Hi kids. It's not Goofy, for God's sake. Hi. Like, it's not.
That was good.
Mickey's not fucking showing up. It was not like
well, compared to Cad Bane's voice, it was significantly higher.
Fair enough, but it was like, "Hi, boys and girls." No.
Wouldn't that be great though? Seeing that voice come out of somebody in the underworld.
Is Mickey gonna have to choke a bitch?
That's good. Anyway, so he's heading home, ready to kick some ass, and he bumps into Nero. And come to find out, Nero is now a deputy with the local police force.
Right. So that's what happens.
Yeah, and he kind of
Some Stockholm syndrome and gets indoctrinated while he's in the fucking the clink.
right, and he warns Cletus to stay out of trouble. So, you know, don't do anything wrong here, because when they first met, they were like, oh, hugs and everything,
Right.
and then as soon as he found out he's a deputy, and he's like, yeah, so no fucking around out here.
Yeah. Like, if you have any ideas of doing something, it's like, you look a lot like the guy who was just killed over here.
Yeah,
He looks kind of like me, except a little like blue,
yeah.
but a lot like me,
Mhm.
because we all look the same. but you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know what, that guy?
But yeah, I think all Duros do look the same.
It's kind of a cut and paste thing, I think, when they're drawing them.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Can't differentiate the female. Like, there's no like. It's just.
Yeah.
And this is one of so sidebarring. It's on something that's not really inappropriate. This is one of those OG Star Wars creatures that is just turned into something all on its own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It's like
Because there was one in the cantina, right?
Right. And so there's no business. The only reason it was in the cantina is because it was in the creature shop
Yeah.
as an available fucking mask.
Yeah. And who'd
There
have
you go.
thought, that would eventually become a prominent species with a specific character that's
Right.
very well known.
It's going to have its own 3-part series.
Yeah. Speaking of which, sidebar, did Cad Bane die in Book of Boba Fett? I can't remember.
Yes.
He did die in that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Didn't
that's
he?
what I thought. I thought so, but it's been a long time.
I said that with certainty.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he died in
Yeah.
Book of Boba
I'm
Fett.
almost positive he did.
Kind of a waste.
Help, chat, help.
Yep.
They all gave up. They're like, fuck yo couch. They're not listening.
Yeah.
Oh, we also didn't talk about the new King of the Hill trailer. There's a King of the Hill trailer?
All right, so we're gonna get to some trailers when we're done. Let's finish this up real quick.
What the hell?
So the Marshal, I don't know why that was so funny. So the Marshal ends up having a good old Western showdown with Cad Bane. We get a couple of these. Where
Bronco said he did not die.
he did not die. Okay. Anyway, good old Western showdown. They're both staring at each other with, ready to do the quick
Right.
draw. Cad Bane annihilates the Marshal, and his buddy comes in, reinforcements. They take Cad Bane, and his girlfriend's like, no, don't fight. We need a new life together, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And he's like, nah, fuck this. And he, killed the guy, and then now he's going to jail for it. And that's kind of where this episode ends.
Right.
Because when we pick up on the next episode, now his buddy Nero is the marshal
Right.
of the town. And come to find out, Cad Bane's already getting out of jail due to a technicality.
Right.
So it happens even in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. I'll save that for the end. But
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So, and now looks like Nero has a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But, Nero's a green skin and the kid is a blue skin. So
Right.
not suspicious whatsoever.
Not at all.
Um,
Are you implying something? Because I don't know what you're implying.
Oh, well, see, what happens is when Bane gets there and he has a confrontation with Nero, now they have the Western showdown,
Right.
which Bane, of course, wins, shoots his friend.
Right.
And as his friend is dying, he's telling him, like, I didn't take everything from you. And he, like, touches the kid's face because the kid's been running around and
Right.
everything. And I think this is the moment where Cad Bane realized, because Nero got with his ex-girlfriend, the girlfriend who was trying to keep him out of trouble.
Right.
Who said, we're going to have
He
a
was
life
in
together.
jail. And he's like, well, you're kind of cute. And
Yeah.
then, but she was already knocked up.
Right. So she already had Cad Bane's seed in her.
Right.
So Cad Bane has a kid, and everybody in the fucking town is like, "Get away from here! Don't come back! Leave him alone!"
Right.
And that's what happened. He walked away.
Yep.
With a son left behind.
Yep.
And that's the end.
That is the end. I will give this little 3-part thing credit because it actually told a story.
Yes.
And it had Underworld involvement.
Mm-hmm.
So I will give this 1 thumb up because it was actually a tale of the Underworld.
Yeah, I actually did enjoy this as much shit as we gave it as we were going through it. I actually did enjoy this story far more than the Ventress one for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, maybe it's contrast theory.
Yeah.
But I did. I thought this was a good story that felt like more than just the 45 minutes that it was.
Yeah.
Or 45 minutes to an hour or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So you haven't seen the trailer for, well, it's not even really a trailer. It's more of an announcement about Spaceballs 2.
No.
So are we doing this live? Is that what's going on?
We're fucking doing it live.
We'll do it live.
You should share your screen and pull it up. So you can have it big on your computer because I've already seen it, so I don't mind seeing it small on the screen. So small.
I'm fine. Share it on yours. That way we know it's being shared through the system.
All right.
Plus, I don't want to. How do you like them apples? Hey now.
You're an all-star.
Get your game on.
Go play.
Hey now.
All right, I'm not doing this.
Come on. You started it.
All right, so let me share screen. Where be it?
All that glitters is gold.
So Dave has not seen the Spaceballs 2 announcement yet.
I have not. Which is pretty remarkable considering my abject love of the Spaceballs movie. Oh my God.
All right, so you can see this?
Yeah.
Now,
you see me looking right at it.
Yeah, hopefully you can read it because it's a lot of text.
All right.
So you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Spaceballs 2 official.
Keynote chat.
After 40 years, we asked, what do the fans want? But instead, we're making this movie.
The Schwartz Awakens.
May
in
the
2027.
Schwartz be with you.
How old is he?
98.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, he's up there. So that's it. That's the Spaceballs announcement trailer.
I mean, he seemed pretty with it for in that little clip.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like kind of like Lee Corso. I don't know how old Lee Corso is. He's in.
I don't even know who that is.
Lee Corso, College Game Day. He's one of the guys at the desk for College Game Day.
Oh,
obviously he's an older guy. That's why I'm bringing it up. He coached way back in the day. But he's the guy, like when you hear people talking about the headgear for picking college teams,
Mm-hmm.
and he puts on the headgear.
Yeah.
He's the guy that does that.
He's
He's the old guy that does that.
So this King of the Hill new season teaser is a minute long. Do you want to watch that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So let me.
Yeah. I'll see what they're going to put in front of me.
Share screen.
This is going to be his last movie. I can imagine that.
Look who's here!
Hey, Bobby, come give your old man a big handshake.
Nowadays, dad beers tell stories.
Bobby, beers don't need to tell stories. They just need a fridge to keep them cold. Nobody likes a warm beer. The end.
5 stars?
I'm going to give you a 4. That way it gives you something to work towards.
Let me know when you need me to take over, since I'm a professional now.
A professional comedian if you think I'm going to let you take over for me.
That's it.
I love that Kathy jumps in there and it's like, no.
What's weird is your Hank Hill sounds better than that Hank Hill.
Right? Because my Hank Hill is closer to the original.
Yeah.
Because
because Mike Judge's voice, I guess, has changed to the point where it is where it is now. If they're even using his voice, I mean, shit, how much could AI generate a bunch of it?
I'm sure they could.
I doubt they do that, but it seems like it would be kind of shitty. But yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched a episode of King of the Hill in quite a long time. So I wouldn't be able to speak knowledgeably about any of the new stuff.
Yeah.
I'm still living in a world where propane and propane accessories are my livelihood.
All right. So that's kind of the end of the episode. We talked about Tales of the Underworld.
Yep.
Which was, I think they've done better in these Tales of shows. But the Cad Bane one was okay.
Yeah. It was okay.
Yeah.
It was. Cad Bane one was good. But the Ventress one, I think,
it's very forgettable.
Yeah, for a character that I really think they could do a lot more with.
Yeah,
honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because of the obvious reasons, but you have a good storyline going with the novelization stuff.
Yeah.
So take advantage of that. God, do something. Do something right.
So, do we have any end of the show reads, or should we just?
Of course we do.
Should we just wing it for a few minutes?
No, we're going to do the end of the show reads. That's what we're going to do because Luna Girl wrote it.
Or did she?
Well, it says here on June 16th, 2025 at 11:59 it was updated. So, we're going to go ahead and assume that this is up to date.
That would make sense.
And in honor of watching some Hank Hill, we're gonna talk kind of like Hank Hill.
Oh, Hank, can I interrupt really quick?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
What are your thoughts on all these people standing in front of traffic as a form of protest?
You get what you get.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of videos today of the fallout from over the weekend as people are trying to block traffic, and it's funny. Like if you're dumb enough to get in front of a car to try to stop it in the form of a protest, then you deserve whatever happens in the following minutes.
This is not in an effort to not. This is not a political statement.
No, I mean this could be.
This is a hey, let's be intelligent human beings.
Yeah.
Not everybody values life the same way that you might. So don't assume that your standard and your amount of empathy is going to be the same as somebody else's. So
Right.
by standing out in front of a car, you can't assume that that person's not going to weaponize that vehicle, because they may very well feel threatened.
Yeah.
I mean, whether they're just a plain jerk off, or they're actually feel threatened because, hey, there's a crowd of people suddenly coming around me. What the fuck am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
What are they supposed to do?
Yeah, I'm not going to be the next fucking Reginald Denny, get pulled out of my vehicle and then get the fuck beat out of me in the streets.
I mean, if that's, I'll be perfectly honest with you. If that's Dave, I'm not in that area.
Right.
Like I'm not driving anywhere near there.
Yeah. That's the smartest thing.
Yeah, look, you have a right to peaceful protest. It's a constitutionally guaranteed right. However, that doesn't give you the right to stand in front of my fucking car
Mm-hmm.
in an area where traffic normally would pass.
Yeah.
Doesn't give you the right to do that. Now, does it give me the right to fucking commit second-degree manslaughter? No, it doesn't. Like, but move.
Yeah.
Move out of the way. Like, am I going to just slowly roll and keep rolling? And if you're just going to ride on the hood, have fun.
Yeah.
I've been hit by a car. I mean, it's overrated. But and it would, thankfully my hit by a car story was at slow speed. And
Yeah.
a poor older couple was mortified when I was sliding up the hood. But yeah, it's really, just don't put yourself in that situation where you're suddenly surrounded by a bunch of people that are obviously angry. They're obviously emotional about what it is that they're protesting. Emotions, unfortunately, are the worst decision makers
Mm-hmm.
that you can possibly have, and emotions are more contagious than any disease. And when you're in an environment like that where there's so many people and everyone's riding that same level of emotion,
Mm-hmm.
that turns into a air quote riot really quickly.
Yeah.
And if you are going to surround my car for some reason, I don't care what the reason is. You could be protesting fucking baby powder.
Right.
Because baby powder fucking has been found to hurt children. So we're protesting baby powder. And yet suddenly you're surrounding my car because for some reason you think I have something to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
And that doing this to my vehicle or to me as a person is going to help your cause.
Right.
For me, if it's me versus you, it's going to be me every fucking time. Every time.
Yeah.
Like, I have a responsibility to my family to live.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not going to allow myself to just get absorbed into this fucking whatever it is. Right? Quite frankly, there's probably a level of fucking PTSD that would just envelop me into certain situations that, you know, I might run over people, but again, I'm not going to put myself in that situation.
Yeah.
That's the best thing you can possibly do. Avoid that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there's a peaceful protest going to be in Center City. Guess who's not going to be in Center City? This guy. Let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Stay the fuck out of it.
Yep.
But there's never rote justification for just fucking running somebody over. Just get out of the way. I'm gonna take my foot off the brake, and let it roll a little bit. Give you an indication like, hey, let's just move this along. Just get the fuck out of my way. But it doesn't give you permission to commit manslaughter. It just doesn't. Now, start beating on my hood and breaking windows and shit. It's on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna drive through there like I'm driving through fucking Fallujah. Like it's, I don't give a fuck. I'll be on the fucking sidewalk. It'll be Grand Theft Auto time. Like if I'm threatened to that point, nope. I will weaponize that 4,300 pound vehicle. Will be a weapon. Don't get it twisted. I don't give a fuck about you when it comes to me versus you. It's gonna be me every fucking time.
It's gonna be me.
Yeah. Look at me. Look at me. Every fucking time.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just curious what you thought about that.
Yeah, it's fucking morons, man. People are so fucking dumb.
Anyway, for ATSW Family Happenings on Wednesday, ATSW The Escape Pod will continue their quest in Baldur's Gate 3 along with Lunar Girl. Will she actually listen this time, or will she pull another Leroy Jenkins? Find out Wednesday in the live chat at 19:05, 7:05 Eastern Daylight Time on YouTube. We have the solstices this week.
Oh, that's right.
That's in a few days. Longest day. At Grave I don't know.
That just popped into my head for some fucking reason.
At Grave Reviews, Alan and Chris spun the wheel with your requests, and we'll be reviewing the 2023 action sci-fi flick Godzilla -1. How many Godzilla movies does there really have to be?
Apparently a lot, because they've made quite a few over the years.
Like, are these true to the original? Like, is there a Godzilla IP that has to get paid every time that they do this?
I honestly have no idea.
Could you imagine Hank Hill having a conversation about Godzilla and whether or not there's an IP getting?
Yeah, never saw that one coming.
I can't imagine that would be it. But Hank's really into Godzilla. But before we can review it, first we must view it. Give it a watch on Netflix and catch the discussion at Grave Reviews on YouTube at 20:00 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Support the sidebar. Support.
What the hell?
God damn it, Bobby. Support the official Sidebar Cantina band till the end and buy their shit. Go to tilltheendofficial.com and check out their tees, sweatshirts, stickers, and posters. Fresh gear is available now.
Right now.
The Orange and Fett Show released episode 148, Returning Japanese, this past Friday. Stream it on Apple or Spotify, or probably wherever else you get your podcasts. No news from layman's terms are used and abused. You can find us at bio.link/thesidebarcantina, where you'll find our links to Patreon, YouTube, our audio podcasts on Apple, Audible, Spotify, and all social media platforms, including X. What is X? Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, and Discord. Sounds like a pile of medieval diseases. Once you get the bio link, simply click the symbols under our pic to go to your platform of choice. You can also find all of our past Spotify mixtape playlists. Also in our bio link is our TeePublic merch shop. Choose from 7 designs on everything from t-shirts and hoodies to tote bags, phone cases, exclusive stickers and pins, tickers too, wall arts, magnets, notebooks, and laptop cases, pillows, just about anything you can imagine. Nothing says loving like a naked Jason chick on a pillow. Go to bio.link / thesidebarcantina and click merch. Reviews?
No new reviews, of course.
Please write us a 5-star review on Apple or Audible. If you don't have an Apple or Audible account, our Facebook page has a review feature too, apparently. Just screenshot your review. There's a lot of words in here that Hank really wouldn't recognize, so we're just going to go ahead and say that if you left us a review some kind of way, DM Lunar Girl or the Sidebar Cantina, or find us by going to bio.link / the Sidebar Cantina.
You're fading in and out between Hank and Dave.
It's tough. Because I'm ad-libbing. You don't think it's Hank. Like when you're doing the voice. Like you don't really think it's Hank. You just like, well, if you don't, then you it'll fade out. And my problem is I start racing ahead.
Right.
And the voice ahead is not Hank.
Okay.
Because otherwise that'd be insane. By definition, I think that'd be insane.
That's just a good actor, if you ask me. But.
Well, even the people that, well, aside from like in South Park, when you get like Matt Parker and Trey Stone, where
or Trey Parker and Matt Stone,
them too, they'll be in the studio, and they'll be doing a voice like this. And then they'll do a voice like this. And they'll switch back and forth like in the same read.
Right.
But when they're in the booth, they'll read one voice, and then for the next, they'll record a separate voice. They won't be doing it like back and forth like that.
Sure.
Because it's hard. It's hard to fucking do. Especially when you're only doing it once a week sometimes.
Right.
So I give a lot of credit to these guys, like the Mark Thompsons and the people who are doing these audiobooks that are, because they can most likely take breaks in between while they're reading, but still it's like one continuous thing,
right, that
they're doing when they're doing a read for a book. I don't know that I could do it. Just the pacing of it. Like I'm listening to guys at like 1.2 or 1.5 a lot of times because they're enunciating everything. Whereas I'm just kind of, unless I talk like this, I'm going to talk really fast. Anyway, smash the like button. Subscribe to the show. Support us on Patreon. And thank you to the Patreon supporters. You are the reason why we do this.
That's right.
And
that's right. Tell that Jedi.
And that's the reason why Jason does the snaps. Because that. It's bad. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a mystery.
There's some lovely filth down here. It's almost like you have to go to two extremes. You have something like that. And you have baked beans are off. You can't. I almost have to force my voice into like go different directions
to kind of even out.
Yeah. And I think I'd do much better if I had a script, because then I could.
True, yeah.
Then I could go back and forth easier. Yeah. Because I could see where the break is.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, when I'm ad-libbing, it takes like you have to. I don't know. It's.
All right, then. So that's the end of the episode.
Yep.
We're closing up a little early, but that's fine. So I got to get to bed because I got to work in the morning.
Yeah, same. The world is not going to save itself.
Yep. So thank you, everybody, for watching us here on YouTube. Thank you to all of our audio listeners. We never forget about you. And until next time, Dave and everybody else, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you. Leroy Jenkins.
What did you do?
Why wasn't it stopping?
I don't know. That was weird.
That one was for you.
All right, guys, I'm closing up the stream. We'll check you next time.
Curious how that comes out on the audio.
Mm.
See ya.